Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here today. And if you're thinking, wow, blimey, that's a fancy title, I've only got the social media bit and in the innovation bit there. So when social media becomes part of day-to-day business, I drop that and I still have a job. So we're here today to talk about social and customer service. And wow, I mean, life's really moved on since we actually started doing social media for customer service. But I wanted to really share with you, hopefully for you to take away some insights that you all can put to practical use in your businesses. It's going to be quite an honest presentation because to look at the glorified side of social media is quite easy. You see the exciting campaigns from a personal standpoint. Hopefully you all are using it in your day-to-day lifestyles. But when you actually take it back into the business and from a customer service standpoint, it's a little bit tougher to do that. So I hope you'll learn something today. So here's our story. Well, it all began with reputation. And by that, I mean, it all began with a poor reputation. The thing about BT is that we have a very big objective, and that objective is to be #1 for customer service. In reality, we're not one business. We're many businesses under one brand. We're BT Consumer, which is the residential. We're BT Business. We're BT Wholesale. We've got our global services team. And we've got OpenReach, who are the engineers, but are sitting within that umbrella. The fact is, customer service in our organization is pretty complex, as you can imagine. And from a standpoint of consumers, they were not getting the service that they wanted. And we didn't make a very deliberate decision to go into social media. It was really a spur-of-the-moment decision and something that brands wouldn't do today. But in 2009, it really did happen like this. But somebody walked into the office and said, oh, Mike Skinner from The Streets, which is a band, is ranting about his BT Vision service on Twitter. And this employee happened to be following Mike Skinner. And our current MD, Warren Buckley, who was director of complaints at that time, took a decision that we can't really ignore what we saw happening on Twitter. So we took a spur-of-the-moment decision and we responded. And what happened was brilliant because that one tweet, that one response to what was a very negative rant turned into a positive very quickly when Mike Skinner said, he was really pleased that we picked it up. And that spiraled on into a lot of positives from other customers who were really happy to see that BT were taking a stance and actually in a medium that most other brands weren't in at that span of time. So we took that evidence and we decided to take it a bit further because we realized that, yes, we had huge amounts of transition campaigns. Transformation was happening internally. We're working with our colleagues in wholesale and OpenReach to improve the networks. Things like that take time. But we had an opportunity to show our customers that we were doing something about it, to be able to communicate to them. So we built the evidence from that one instance. Now, when we did a bit of research from there, we realized that the world was really changing and our customers were changing. So you could see from some of the stats, which our global services team had done this piece of research. I'd like to take time to make the right decisions in life. So people were researching online before making spur-of-the-moment decisions. They were taking their time to decide. I enjoy chatting for long periods of time with friends, family, and colleagues, so conversation was very much part of it. People were becoming time poor. 53% didn't have time to get everything done, and that moved on since then. I plan and research most of my purchases. And this key one here, I buy more from companies that make it easier for me to do business with them. And actually, there's more to this stat, and it's more than social media. It's really about customer effort. And we have introduced customer effort as a target on our scorecards now, because we believe that by making it easy for our customers to contact us and do business with us, we'll be able to increase that lifetime value, we'll be able to increase the loyalty and retain customers in a very saturated market that we operate on. So effectively, social media plays a part of that whole picture. And what we did was we tried to take that back, and we said, you know what, if we want to do this, we've got to do it seriously. So rather than take it and put it with an agency, which most brands do, we took it into our contact centers. We decided to train people from our contact centers to engage in social media and pick up customer service queries and resolve them. Now, somebody like me who comes from a creative background, it was a bit of a learning curve, because going into the contact center was a bit like this. You know, the completely different world, different metrics. People are very driven by volume, performance measures like call handling time, one contact resolution. And for somebody to come in and say, well, can you give us some people who can chat to our customers? Didn't quite go down too well. But the good thing is that we were given the opportunity to just trial it on small scale. And we decided to listen first. We decided to use free tools because we didn't have any money behind us to actually go out and just set up. Even though we are a big brand, you don't often get that kind of bugs unless you sit in marketing. So we started using Google Alerts, Social Mention, which is another free tool, just to hear what were our customers saying, where were they hanging out. And we developed a very simple strategy. And that strategy was to take our conversations to where our customers were. And you know what? Our customers weren't sitting on Facebook talking about BT. They were on Facebook for different reasons, to connect with their friends and family. We found that actually the core volume was on places like Money Saving Expert, Think Broadband, Digital Spy, things that were actually relevant to our business. And so we let our customers lead our strategy to a certain extent. And we went and set up a team called BT Care, which was actually only 2 individuals to start with, because again, resource is very difficult to get. And we trained them to actually pick up queries of customers and resolve it. And from there, we started to grow. And from that growth and from the positive mentions that we got, we were able to tell a story back into the business at CEO level, to be able to show them that really there's power in social media. There's power to actually listen to what your customers are saying. There's power to engage with your customers and connect with those people on a one-to-one level. There's power to motivate the employees because it's a completely different skill set for them, and they have a one-to-one interaction with the customer, and they can see the positive out of that one-to-one interaction. And actually, there is return on investment at the end of it. So this is where we've got to today. So what we did was we set up BTK on these external forums first. We decided to set up the team under the name of BTK because we decided that we wanted to create a fresh online brand. We wanted to be able to show people that, we were going to start off this way to try and change things and listen to them. We decided to set up on Twitter as BTK, and once we actually went onto Twitter, we realized that actually, we needed to have planned this a little bit more. Once you set up on Twitter, the number of queries that start coming through escalate quite quickly because you become a victim of your success. The more successful you are and the more people are pleased with you, the more they recommend you to their friends and their family. And within a matter of hours, you can land up with a whole lot of volume. So what we decided to do was by then we had the evidence, and we went out into our research teams, and we asked them to build a tool that would help us to actually engage from an operational standpoint into these channels. And we built a tool called Debatescape, which really works like an operational workflow, cater to agents who are doing shift patterns, captures the conversation history of social conversations so that if you're an agent coming in an afternoon shift, you can pick up the conversation where you left it off. And we built that tool, and we went into Twitter in a big way. We developed a core video strategy, and it wasn't anything flash. Effectively, we wanted our people in the contact centers to be the front-facing brand for us. So Emma and Craig in the videos are people who work for me, we decided that they know the products best. We got them in front of a camera talking to customers. We started taking that video content, not just by putting it on YouTube, because YouTube is great for search, it's the second largest search engine, but we started seeding that content into user journeys so that customers, if they were in a particular place, if they've forgotten their password, for example, they can view a video on how to reset their password. It was all about creating those self-help options, which in effect really addresses those call drivers. And you don't have to go for the big ones. Even the smallest, even the smallest of themes can make a huge difference. So we developed a strong video strategy. And then we started seeing a very different trend. And it really came out from the gaming industry. Because anybody here is a gamer who likes games? So you all will know that actually forums in the gaming world are really crucial to connecting with other gamers, talking about cheats, talking about games. And we found Lithium, which is a community platform, but built by gamers, to set up for customer service. So effectively, it had all the ranking. So every time somebody answered another person's question, they acquired some points that would accrue them ranking within the community. And that dynamic worked really well to get customers helping other customers. Now, you wouldn't think that BT customers would do that, but I have people spending up to 39 hours a week helping other customers for free. So if you're thinking about actually deflecting those calls, community and peer-to-peer support is a crucial way to do it. And we realized that actually by empowering our customers, they may not love our brand. They weren't going around saying, hey, BT, we love you. We were quite realistic that, we're not a Coke and we're not like Burberry or anything like that, but they loved the technology. We had products that people were interested in, and they wanted to pass on that knowledge and share it. And we also thought about the mobility, and I think, anybody who's thinking about social media really needs to be thinking about having a mobile strategy as well, because the two are intertwined. More than 50% of users who use social media are doing so from their mobile apps. So you've got to have a strategy that strands both those types. And then, finally, this year, we launched into Facebook. And we didn't launch into Facebook purely because we didn't feel that our customers were there to talk about BT. And we didn't, from our research, they weren't there from a customer service standpoint. But this year, we felt from a marketing perspective, it was the right time for us to go into Facebook. And what I've done is integrated my video and my community into my Facebook page so that customers have an endless sort of seamless experience. They don't have to leave Facebook and the environment that they choose to engage in to actually talk to BT and get the service that they want. So what can social and listening do for your business? So these are my tips really on what it's done for us. I mean, when we first started doing the listening piece, I really was skeptical about whether we could turn people around. But we took some key things. We realized, by analyzing the customers, we realized that people who were coming onto our social channels were people who had a very frustrating time with the help desk. They had actually been through the help desk, believe it or not, between 6 and 10 times. So, they were pretty angry by the time they came onto Twitter. What we decided to do was that we couldn't send these same customers back into the channels they came from. Because if they've had a frustrating experience in the voice channel or the email channel for whatever reason, and you put them back there, you're only going to drive them away from your business. So we took quite a drastic sort of approach, which most other brands haven't taken or are just starting to take. And that was really that we wanted the agents to not only engage with the customers and pick up their queries, but we wanted them to resolve those queries as well and own the customer. Because we felt if they lost sight of that customer at that point, we'd lose them forever. So it all became about retaining these customers, changing their customer experience, and then driving the satisfaction from there. And we get so many positive mentions, per week. I mean, on Twitter alone, we've grown in a year from getting about just 20 odd positive mentions to about like 60 per week, from customers saying how these are just some of the quotes that we get. And it's just been great, not so much even for me from a standpoint or for BT, but from the employee standpoint, because they're interacting with the employees on a one-to-one level, often the positive mention is to the employee. And it's helped a lot in employee engagement because the agents that work on our social media channels absolutely love their jobs. And they are dealing with what you could call complex queries, high-level complaints, and they still come into work really buzzing. So it's got to be said that it's helped. So reputation. So the key thing for me, we've been finalists in a few awards like the National Customer Service Awards and the Customer Experience Awards. But the greatest kudos from a reputation standpoint has been, I don't think BT's customer service reputation has changed, gone a 360-degree turn. We still have so much work to do. But what I do know is that BT Care have got a good reputation because our customers voted us to be in the top 100 social brands, and that's on a global standpoint. And it wasn't BT, it was BT Care that they recommended. So it was good kudos for me and my team to know that we were doing something right because off their own backs, they took part in a survey and they nominated us to be in that. We use it a lot for crisis management. I'm sure you'll appreciate that if you work in the contact center or you work in a customer service environment, we're always under pressure when there's a crisis. And call volume spike, the abandonment rates are high, and we decided that we wanted to do something quite dramatic for BT. We wanted to really break that whole perception that we were a faceless brand. And this was a tough one to do because if you think about it, trying to be honest and transparent in a crisis could easily backfire. The media will ride high on it, your competitors will ride high on it. But what we were able to do was, again, take the risk and then prove from the evidence. And we had a flood at a Paddington exchange a couple of years ago, and we managed to get hold of a picture from the engineer on site. And we went ahead and we tweeted it out, and we started keeping people updated. We didn't have the updates as and when they were happening, but whenever we had it, we were putting it out. And we took what was a very negative situation and turned it into positive because people started to, feedback that they were really happy with the way we were being honest and transparent. They were recommending us, and we got, instead of being put into a negative light in the press, we actually got some really good press out of it, which made me take it further and say to the business that actually we can have a crisis policy that actually works with our real-time reporting. And so effectively, social media becomes part of your real-time reporting. We have to be considered. It can easily backfire, so you've got to be considered. You've got to know, think about timescales for fix. You've got to think about how many customers are impacted. You've got to think about whether there is conversation in the social space happening around that particular crisis. So there is criteria that sits behind it, but we were able to create a crisis policy that helps us deflect calls just by that honest, transparent communication. Another example was really in the recent London riots. Effectively, we take 999 calls, and during the London riots, the volumes of calls were really high. People were having to wait 41 seconds to get to 999, and we really needed to help the people who needed to be helped. So we put out an appeal on Twitter, which really said, we're under major pressure, please call only in case of emergency. And what we saw was that some key people like money-saving expert Martin Lewis-Smith and a few others started retweeting what we were tweeting out. And with that one tweet, within minutes, we were able to bring down that 41 seconds to 0 seconds. And we reached over 311,000 people with that one tweet. And that's really the power that a channel like Twitter has, you know. The viral nature of spreading the message, and if it's the right type of message from a brand, it goes down really well. On the other hand, you know, it can backfire if it's all about you. It's got to be about the customers. It's got to be honest. It's got to be about how you can help the people out there. So what's really good about social media is that your customers are already influencing decisions. But there are some people who could be more of a decision maker than others. And what it's helped us to do is identify who our influencers are. Now, celebrities always have a level of influence, and we normally have VIP routes if there's a high-paying customer or a celebrity that is, you know, has a problem. But from our perspective, you know, apart from the celebrity, it's allowed us to identify people who are creating opinion in that industry. And it need not be an Alan Sugar, it need not be, you know, a Freddie Flintoff who gave us hell last week. You know, it's really about understanding who are the people who are changing your customers' minds? Who are the people who are actually encouraging them to leave your business or stay with your business? I mean, in this particular instance, you know, Lord Sugar was ranting about his call center experience, as only he can. And we did pick it up. We didn't actually ask for the CEO to call him. We responded to him ourselves, but on the back of that, you know, he also got a call from the CEO. And you know, he's not easy to convert, but we were able to convert him purely by showing that we were there listening to what he said. So it's quite helpful from that. One of the things we do is, so we've got a community leader program. So talking about the community, we identify the most engaged customers on our community. And we started to collaborate with them in our business. Because if you think about it, you know, businesses traditionally have always built products and services that they think their customers want. They'll do voice of the customer type pieces where they get insight, etc. But how about actually working with your customer to come up with ideas, to develop those products, to get insight? And we've taken these most engaged users and started to include them into the program management piece, where we're taking the concepts to market. We get them early sight of products before we release them. We get them to trial it, give us feedback, give us their opinion, suggestions to adapt the product. And actually, it's worked brilliantly simply because not only is BT getting insight into potential issues that they can avoid, but from a customer standpoint, we are showing them that we're willing to work with them. It's showing them that actually we're willing to listen to them and produce things that they actually want to use. So in fact, on Thursday, I've got my first face-to-face meeting with all my community leaders, and I've got all the senior management coming to the BT Tower just to listen to their feedback in a face-to-face environment. And so you can see it's really sort of transforming the way we operate and interact with our customers. We started an ideas bank where people can submit their ideas and we can work on implementing those. And I don't know if anybody saw the Adam and Jane ads this March, just before the royal wedding, but what we did was used Facebook to actually crowdsource the ad. And by that I mean, we asked people to vote for what dress the lady wore, to choose the wedding card, to choose the wedding song, and by actually deciding from the Facebook community, they also got an opportunity to appear in the ad. And it's actually been Facebook's most successful campaign till date. They had over 500,000 votes through the Facebook mechanism to participate and be featured in the ad. So it was a really good testimony that actually from service, you can then grow out and do other exciting things. So where's the ROI? I mean, you know, one of the harsh lessons I've learned in customer service has been coming, especially sitting in marketing, you have big budgets. When you go in customer service, everything has to be, you know, you've got to show very clear return on investment. And it's been a hard slog because the social media industry is still maturing as well, and people are still trying to figure out what are the right analytics, what's the right technology that will allow us the analytics to prove the return on investment. And what we've been able to do is build an ROI based on call deflection and cost savings. So we do a cost comparison of cost to serve over voice, cost to serve over Twitter. We claim savings on that, and on the community, we claim deflection based on how many queries are resolved and are accepted by the community. So the thing I'd say about ROI is it's a tough slog, and if you're going into social media, you're not going to be able to prove it immediately. But the more you do, the more you gain, and the more effort you put in, the more you will see in terms of return. You've got to be able to keep it a living model, because as the industry matures with the right type of technology, you will be able to then reproduce more sophisticated models. So making it work, the first thing you've got to be aware of in social media is that you have to account for every possible situation, from somebody coming on your Facebook page and saying they want to commit suicide, to somebody taking it straight to the CEO or to Watchdog, to somebody also being really nice and spreading the positive word. So you've got to actually be very considered in everything you do. And you do find some trends or types of customers you see. You do get the genuine customers who do need help, and those customers will take your service and be happy and move on. You get people who will become your advocates, like our community leaders. You get people who are just pure complainers. There's no way you can help them, because no matter what you do, they always come back to complain. There are some people who will just observe what you do, and actually they are quite an important demographic to target, because they're the people you can slowly convert over to becoming advocates and to actually going out and spreading the word, because they're interested in your brand, they're just not taking that step. So it's very keen to engage even with people who are just sort of lurking about on your social channels, making the odd comment here and there. You get campaigners, and by that I mean there are people who have a cause. So we have quite a strong committee of people or customers who are convinced that BT spend their lives spying on them. So we call them privacy campaigners, and they've got a cause, because they are convinced that we are doing something illegal when we're not, and you have to understand where these people are coming from, because they will catch you out on the smallest detail, and you have to have processes in your system that will work with your PR team, that will work with your legal teams to understand the intricacies of how these conversations can flow. And then you do get the troll, and the troll is really there to be disruptive. So for example, on Twitter, we have one person who was quite obviously racist, throwing a lot of abuse at us on Twitter. His profile read that he hated Muslims, Hindus, Jews. So it was quite clear in where he was coming from. And now, in that kind of situation, you have, as a brand, you've got to understand that there are some causes worth fighting for, but there are others that you have to turn a blind eye to. Now, in my case, we don't accept abuse, but it's an open communication platform, so you can't really do anything about it apart from report them to Twitter. What you will find is Twitter and Facebook don't often do anything about it. They've built a platform, they just want people to use it. They don't really care about the issues that surface from that. I think things are changing now, because Facebook and Twitter have realized that they need to make money off their platforms, and they're coming to brands like us asking for money. So the sort of dynamics changing a little bit, but you have got to understand what situations are worth changing and what situations are worth just leaving, because you're not going to win that battle. But these are the kinds of people you will see emerge on your social channels. How does your organization look like? Because social media is not traditionally customer service. It's more marketing, so now less marketing. The conversations are absolutely blurring. So where does social media really sit? And this is a big question for most organizations. Most organizations don't actually know where to put social media in their organization. And it really does come down to this. It does not matter where it sits. What matters is that the people who are actually working in these channels care about your business, care about your customer, and care enough to actually want to make a difference to that situation. Because when crisis or situations break out at 2 o'clock in the morning, it is only those people who care who will come down and work and do something to change that situation. And what we've done within our organization is we've gone out to our marketing and PR colleagues and we've said, look, we know that you want to do social from a PR standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, but from our standpoint, every channel of communication you open up, customers want service. You will always get customers coming to an open channel of communication asking for service. And in those situations, is an agency going to be ready to take on complex queries? Are they going to give the quality of service that your contact centers give? And very soon they realize the answer is no. Also, social media is a 24/7 channel. And realistically, there are not many people who sit in the professional marketing community who would work 24/7. So we have created an organization where BTK are the social hub. We do service, but we also do the marketing. We manage all of our presences for BT Consumer and BT Business, and that offers consistency. Because then we know exactly what's going on. We can communicate. If there's a crisis, everything works like clockwork because we've got the team, one team managing it all. And we work with all the different departments. You do have a need to have a social policy because what you'll find is that, yes, you need a social policy for your business, but your employees, it's quite new to them. We have a lot of people from our contact centers who really want to help, but sometimes it can be disruptive. So you want to encourage them, but at the same time, you want to be able to give them guidance. Also, there will be questions around, are they doing it during work? When they should really be on the phone or resolving via email. Also, confidentiality. If they have privy to information before products go out, people forget that social is public, and they can sometimes put out information that's confidential. So you need to have a very clear guidelines to your employees to encourage them because they can be a force for your business, but at the same time, guide them as to what the do's and don'ts are. And you need governance because it could very easily spiral once you get success with one particular channel. Say for service, we saw success, then you start getting loads of people setting up profiles all over the place, and you do need some sort of meeting to work together and build a cohesive strategy. And you need very strong contacts into the business because the normal contacts that you use for escalations, et cetera, don't work in social. So you need to relook at that contact list. My view on this is really just listen, learn, plan, fix, because if you don't fix the root causes of the problems that you're seeing, you will continue to see those negative conversations come through. And that's still a journey that we're on. And you've got to be bold and be human. You've got to look at the technology. Technology is quite a key part. I talked about how we built our own tool. Now, we use Siebel as our CRM system, and it's a legacy system, But the reality is, if you want to serve customers on social, they don't always give you their customer details. I could be anybody on Twitter. My username is completely to my liking. So how do you actually tie up that information with your actual customer details? And you've really got to be able to aggregate your social profile data with your technology. Because if you don't, you just don't know who you're dealing with. And that customer, if they come back to you in the future, you have to start again from scratch. So technology is quite key. And if you're thinking about the social strategy, you do need to consider how your current CRM systems are placed to absorb that social data into its base. So people, this is my team. The type of coaching you need, this is just part of my team actually, But the type of coaching you do need to give your team is really about, so what we did is we looked for people who were already working in the digital space, so people who were doing live chat and email. We then looked at the types of themes that were coming up, which was technical, so we looked at technical help desk agents working in digital, and then we layered it with the social skill set, which is all about tone of voice, understanding of the different mediums, because Facebook and Twitter don't operate the same way, and we coach them in moderation, and I coach them every single week with the rest of my managers. You know, we take them through examples, and you do have to be prepared for them to get it wrong, but the only way they will learn is if they live and learn. So you've got to keep coaching, but the core baseline skill sets are digital, technical help desk, depending on the type of industry you're in, and then layer it with social skills. And think about collaborating, conversing with your customers, because your customers will play the biggest part in how successful you are in this space. Now, latter half of my presentation, am I okay for time? So this is really lessons learned. Social media for service represents an opportunity, and I hope you'll appreciate from the things that I've shared with you, it is a significant opportunity. But it's not without its risks. And if you don't have the proper infrastructure and planning, you know, it could go wrong. So if you're thinking about it, really think about what kind of operation you need behind it. You do need governance and guidance. I mean, if you're thinking about that you're being creative in doing social media for customer service, your customers are equally creative. I had a customer the other day who used Facebook advertising to complain, and it was horrendous because he wouldn't take it down. But even when we actually got to the root cause of his problem, it wasn't even a problem to do with us. So customers are thinking of creative ways to complain. You know, social media is driving people to share their opinion. So you've got to be there to show your customers that you're listening, you're working on it, but be prepared. So crises are breaking on social channels first, because people are being encouraged to talk about things. You will find I'm building an alert based on social noise back into our business to tell us if there's a crisis, because every time there's an outage, people start tweeting about it first, and we see a trend pattern building. If possible, don't try to outsource your activity. If you have contact centers, you have good people in there, look to them and look to recruit them and train them up. Listening is a whole lot more than noise. You know, if you analyze it, you can really come down to which help desks are not working, why aren't they working, you know, what are the key call drivers that keep appearing, and sometimes actually you will find call drivers that won't be in the top ones, you know, that are on the voice volumes. So it's quite interesting if it's analyzed and used. And you've got to really let go of your ego. One of the core learnings we've had as a brand is that, you know, the control is now with the customer. So you've got to be able to let go of that control but work with your customers. And then, you know, what we've learned is our customers they want trust. They want to be heard, they want to be understood, they want respect, you know, which is difficult. I have to say it's really difficult to tick all these boxes, and it'll be a long time till we tick all those boxes, but we're getting there. And finally, you know, Amazon's Jeff Bezos says brand is what people say when you leave the room. I'd say brand is what people say when deliberately knowing that you're in the room. So all the best, and hopefully you will be able to use some of this today in your own businesses. That's me. Woo.